So it looks like the NFC West is going to come down to the Niners or the Seahawks. Not to write off the Cardinals yet. They're talented too, but it looks like the two best teams in the NFC West are the Niners and the Seahawks. And the Seahawks are in first place. They've won 3 in a row, and they've beaten the Chargers. They smoked the Chargers 2 weeks ago, and they just beat the Giants, who are very good. The Niners haven't beaten anyone good except the Seahawks, which is very interesting. So how do you think, which team do you think will win this division? You don't have to answer that question, but how do you think these teams stack up?
Well, the difference, I was looking at them, the real biggest difference is 49ers defense is ranked the 5th best in the NFL. Seahawks defense is ranked the 26th best in the NFL. The 49ers score only 22 points per game. Seahawks score 26 per game. So the Seahawks, their offense as far as total yards, like the running game and passing game, is almost identical. They're both doing about the same offensively from a yard standpoint, but the Seahawks are better at putting the ball in the end zone and scoring. And the 49ers have a much, much better defense. So I think Seahawks might be a little bit of a fool's gold. One thing you see with them is what's cool for the Seahawks and for the morale of the team is everybody wrote them off. Nobody expected them to be doing good at all. So they're exceeding expectations. So that's a great place to be in from a morale standpoint. Niners are not meeting their expectations. So it's a different mentality. Like Seahawks basically have nothing to lose at this point, right? It's like if we do good, no one expected to us. If we do bad, that's what everyone expected. It's like you can't lose. Where the 49ers have yet to meet expectations, and it's more of a humbling position to be in when you're not playing up to your capabilities yet and you're losing teams like the Bears and the Broncos.
Yeah, the Seahawks are very intriguing. I mean, starting with their offense, they've had DK and Tyler Lockett for a long time, good weapons. They lost Rashad Penny, but Kenneth Walker looks like a really good runner, and Geno Smith looks like a better quarterback than Jimmy, at least now. Better athlete, better arm, better quarterback. Let's talk about Seattle's defense because, yeah, their numbers look bad, but they started off very slow. If you look at the last 3 weeks, they've given up 15 points per game, which is 5th best in the league. And they do have some talent. They have 2 really good corners, Tariq Woolen and Michael Jackson. Tariq Woolen's given up a pass rating of like 44 this year. So what happens with Pete Carroll defense is often they get better as the year goes on because he's a good coach. So like this is a really, really well-coached team. The Niners are more talented than the Seahawks, but they have more talent than I think people realized. I thought they were tanking. Everyone thought they were tanking. And now you look at them and you're like, ooh, actually you're not a bad team. Definitely not a bad team, and they're a well-coached team. So the Niners have to face them in Seattle. That's not easy. And they haven't faced the Rams yet. They get 2 games against the Rams coming up. So it's going to be I think it's going to come down to the wire between the Niners and the Seahawks. I don't think the Seahawks are going away. I think they've won 3 in a row.
Yeah, they're definitely a hotter team than the 49ers are right now. And
beat the Giants.
Man, if the Seahawks win the NFC West and the 49ers don't, that just shows you right there. I mean, if Pete Carroll can win the NFC West with that team versus the 49ers losing the NFC West with this team, that's an indictment on Kyle Shanahan, and that has to put him on the hot seat at least for year 7. I've always said that, even if Kyle Shanahan is horrible, they miss the playoffs, they're going to give him that Trey Lance excuse, and he's going to get one more year. But if you let the Seahawks win the NFC West and beat you, at least split 1-1, that's an indictment on Kyle Shanahan, in my opinion, and he's going to be on a hot seat next year.
Yeah, so it's wide open. They're just 1 game behind the Seahawks, and they've beaten the Seahawks already. Yeah. But I do think the Seahawks are a better team now than they were then. The defense seems to have figured something out in the last few weeks. They went against the Chargers. They went against the Cardinals and the Giants, 3 teams that are pretty good. So it doesn't mean that they'll beat the Niners, but the Niners have trouble in Seattle, and Seattle has 2 more games against the Rams, a bunch of easy games as well, very similar schedule.
And so, who has more pressure if you think about it? The 49ers to do what they're supposed to do, what everyone predicted they would do, or the Seahawks who have nothing to lose?
Yeah, and the Niners, they could be better than the Seahawks but still lose the division because they lost to Chicago and Denver and Atlanta.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, everyone's like, those games don't matter. They absolutely matter. Could matter really.
They absolutely matter. Like the Seahawks have lost to the Niners and the Saints and Atlanta. That's interesting. But they beat Denver. They beat Detroit. They beat Arizona. They beat the Chargers. They beat the Giants. So they don't have as many like embarrassing losses as the Niners, which is why they're taking care of business and in first place. Still, the Niners probably should be able to win this division. Good news. We always thought this was the best division in the NFC. No, it sucks, and the best one's in the East.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they beat the freaking Giants, and they beat who else? They beat? They beat the Giants, and they beat the Chargers. Two really good teams. I mean,
it
says a lot.
Yep. So that's going to be a very interesting matchup in Seattle Thursday night game. Going to be interesting. And Patio63 says, my dog Grant, been a minute since I caught a live show. Love you, my boy. You're the greatest reporter in the game. Wow, thank you very much. That just got nicer and nicer as it went on. Swan Song says, whatever Jimmy Garoppolo does well, cue Jimmy Cycle of Death meme. Yeah, I guess he had underdog mentality. We should have seen that, right? He was favored to lose, underdog mentality.
Yeah.
I love that.
Sup,
Swan. Timothy says, Kyle scared to pull players because Lions disaster. I don't know. Maybe. Last year?
Yeah.
Maybe. Sean O'Leary says, one other thing. Has it been 2 years in a row? Buda Baker has put Kittle on the IR. No dirty hits. Not what I'm saying, but dude gets Kittle hurt. Yeah, Buda Baker, they match up, and Buda Baker hits hard. That's a good point. I think you're right. Yeah. Cisco Kid said that CMC TD throw. I bet Trey throws that pass at CMC's feet and ruins that play. JK. Or am I? Also, like I said, CMC is a weapon. Okay, not a running back. True. And I guess that makes the trade more palatable. But he still plays a lot of running back, and that means you got to keep him healthy for the first time for a running back on this team. B. White, thank you. C. Turley. I don't see what you both see. Seattle beating AZ, overrated. New York Giants and the Chargers isn't impressive. Niners blow out Chargers in 2 weeks.
So what's impressive that the 49ers have done?
Thank you. You just wrote off the Niners' entire resume. The most impressive thing the Niners have done this year is beat the Seahawks, who you say aren't good. So I guess we should just totally not write off the Niners, but just forget everything we think we know, which is what. Anyway, it's going to be interesting. It's a bye week. So we have to talk hypotheticals and really do an autopsy of the team to see what they are, good or bad. Will Ward stay at nickel? Yeah, I think so. Until someone gets hurt. Sorry, Ward. Let's bring him on the show. See how he really feels. You think he'll do it?
Oh, that'd be great.